this is Maggie Malek, the CEO of Crispin, here at the beautiful Can with my friend Ashley, who runs one of my favorite agency and creator content sites, Stuff About Advertising. This is her first time here.
First timer.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about that and what she's excited about. So Ashley, what is your one word review of Can?
Hot.
Hot is a good one. Okay.
Hot is an understatement, honestly.
Yeah. Do you have any pro tips for people that are going to come in another year?
Bring multiple portable fans, the breeziest clothes you could possibly find.
Yes.
And just don't care about makeup or hair or anything. You're just going to be vibing in the sun.
I love that. My other tip is I tell people wear biker shorts underneath their dresses.
That's a great tip.
Because you never know. All right. So what inspired you to start Stuff About Advertising?
I just love talking about advertising. I'm such a huge nerd and cannot shut up even when I leave the office. So I wanted another outlet to talk about it. And I also wanted to share my opinions. I felt like a lot of the usual trades, since they're actual journalism, can't share many of their opinions, and I have a lot of them. So I really wanted a place to do that and just analyze advertising and talk about creativity. And TikTok came around during the pandemic for me. That's when I discovered it and hopped on, and it just felt right.
I love that. Well, so this is a question as a two-parter. So how do you source your content? And then, like you said, the trade pubs, what is your relationship with the trade pubs? So let's start with, how do you source your content first?
I am chronically online. So I am just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling all through the week and making notes of any campaigns I see, ads that I come across on my feed, anything that catches my eye that I feel like I want to talk about, I write down. And then I also have, a list of the usual publications that I go look at and see what the big news stories are for the week. And then I also have agencies and PR people in my inbox constantly.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yes, they send me embargoed information, so I feel like an actual journalist sometimes because I get those embargoed stories. But they just keep me up to date on what they're doing, which I love, and I welcome agencies sending me stuff because I love to see what they're working on. Yeah.
I love that. I mean, I even feel like my team, like you, has so many like hot takes. I'm like, just slide into her DMs and tell her your opinions.
Please.
So then what is your relationship with the trade publications?
I have, I think, a good relationship with them. I've kind of done little collabs and things here and there with Adweek and Ad Age and The Drum, and I love them. I love their coverage. There have been a couple little instances of tension, I guess you could say. There was an article written recently about how people shouldn't get career advice on TikTok, and they mentioned me specifically.
Oh boy.
And then it was an article of actual advice from people in the industry after that. And as I was reading through it, I was a little bothered that I was their example of, career advice that you shouldn't get advice from. And then the tips that they had from actual industry people weren't any different from anything I've ever said. So that definitely rubbed me the wrong way, for sure. But they reached out and apologized and explained, where they were coming from. So I understand. I think there's a little bit of a tension between the traditional news and creators. People are getting their news differently, and I think it is a little bit of a threat to them. Yeah. And I don't think they are fully understanding how to adapt yet. They're really trying with social, and I see that a lot. But yeah, I think it's just a weird dynamic that we're all still trying to figure out where we belong in this space.
No, I love that. And I feel like it's like I feel like that really spoke to me because it's a similar story to mine. Like I started as a copywriter on the social team, and 17 years later, now I'm a CEO. And so I feel like often in rooms, I'm like, what am I? Oh, but I do have an opinion, and my opinion does matter. And people from unconventional backgrounds, I think, are more and more the future of leadership and creativity and writers and all of that. Yeah. So anyway, that was not planned, but I love
to
that
hear
story.
That because I was also copywriter in social. That's how I started. So good to know that I can become a CEO.
No, I tell the agency, I'm like, one of y'all is going to be the next CEO. Like if you keep your pulse on content and writing and creativity and the business of what we are doing, that's how you grow up to be a modern CEO. It's not starting a company. I mean, it could be starting a company, but it's not waking up one day and like following the traditional paths. Because like if you look at mine and yours, you wouldn't think that. So
Absolutely.
I like that you're a social media writer too. Awesome. Okay, so this is an interesting one, and we talk about ourselves as being chronically online at Crispin too, so I love that. How do you navigate the volume of content out there every day on all the channels?
I think I am the navigator for people. My content is curation. I'm telling you which news to pay attention to, which campaigns are worth talking about. So I think I act as the navigator essentially in this sea of information. You know, I'm seeing every single ad that I can possibly see, and then I'm like, hey, pay attention to these 3. Yeah. I think I've also just refined my taste over the years. I can very quickly tell if something is worth talking about or not. Most things are not, to be honest, which I think is a challenge for the industry for sure, is to make things that are worth talking about. But that's how I gauge what goes into my content. And it's either something really good that I want to talk about or something really, really bad. Problematic, really terrible ad. 2 ends of the spectrum are the things that I look for and talk about.
God bless. I love that. Okay, and then I think final question, we were just talking about this a little bit outside, like as a content creator yourself, the world of lo-fi versus highly curated, what content hits best for you when you're posting yourself? And then do you have any tips for creators and content makers out there?
I think it depends on the platform, honestly. TikTok seems to prefer the more lo-fi sort of content where, you know, you post something on the fly that you put barely any time into and it goes viral. The things that are more polished, you basically have to be a filmmaker level of polish for that to work with the algorithm. Anything below that,
that's really true,
is usually just not going to work. Things that I spend so much time on that I think are going to hit so hard, just bomb.
2 views.
Yes. For me, Instagram has been kind of different. I think the things that are slightly more polished seem to work there, and I wonder if that's because of the history of Instagram being more aesthetic and the grid and that kind of thing. So it's a mix. I can usually tell based on the topic if it's going to go viral or not. If it's something that goes beyond just the ad world, like movie marketing, people who aren't in the industry care about that. They love seeing the Barbie movie stuff. They love seeing pretty much anything around their favorite movies. So that's probably going to go viral. But something very much in the industry usually just stays within my cute little community.
That's awesome. Well, Thank you so much for joining us here on the beach. And you can follow her at Stuff About Advertising. And we will see you next year, hopefully.
Yeah, thank you so much for
right.
having me.